The black sea of space stretched forever. Cold and endless, stars burned far away like tiny diamonds. Silent and lonely, inside the small supply ship, Dr. Emily Carter sat in her seat, eyes on the screen in front of her. She was on a solo mission to deliver research samples to a science station near the edge of human territory. It was supposed to be a quiet trip, nothing special, just another job. The ship's hum was the only sound, soft and steady, like a heartbeat. Emily leaned back, sipping from her water pouch, thinking about home. About the warm green forests of Earth she missed so much. She had been away for months. She told herself she would return soon. After this delivery, she had no idea that this trip would change her life forever. It started as a faint alarm. At first, she thought it was a system check, nothing serious. But the sound grew louder, sharper, more urgent. A red light flashed on her console. Warning, hull impact detected. Her stomach tightened. The next moment, the ship shook violently. Emily grabbed the armrests as the entire vessel groaned. A wall of debris appeared on her radar, a hidden meteor cluster. Moving fast, she tried to steer around it, but the rocks were too close, too many. Metal screamed as the first impact hit the side of the ship. The cabin lights flickered and sparks rained from the ceiling. She fought the controls. Hand shaking, "Come on, hold together," she whispered to the ship, as if it could hear her. Another rock slammed into the rear engines. The sound was deafening. The ship spun out of control. Alarms blaring in every corner through the front window. Emily saw the shape of a planet growing larger and larger. Its surface looked dry, endless. Stretches of desert and cracked stone. No signs of oceans, no green life, just dust and sharp shadows. The ship was falling towards it at terrifying speed. She tried to send a distress signal, but the screen showed communications offline. The control panel exploded in sparks, burning. Her hands, she cried out, but kept pulling at the manual override. It was too late. Gravity took hold, dragging the ship down like a giant hand. The heat of entry burned bright outside, the planet's thin atmosphere screaming against the hull. The ship shook so hard, Emily thought it would break apart. Then came the crash, a terrible, bone-shaking impact. The world went white for a second, and then silent, when Emily opened her eyes. She was on the floor of the cockpit, her head pounding. The smell of smoke and metal filled the air. She coughed, pushing herself up. The main window was cracked, but still holding through it, she saw a vast, empty desert. Glowing under a strange orange sky, her legs trembled as she stood. The ship was broken beyond repair. Jagged metal, torn wires, flames licking at the walls. Her supply crates were smashed, their contents scattered. Only her small survival pack was intact. Lying near the door, she grabbed it, strapping it. To her back, outside, the heat hit her like a wall. The sand stretched for miles in every direction. Wind hissed softly, carrying a smell she could not place. Emily shaded her eyes, scanning the horizon for any sign of life. There was nothing, just rock and dust. Then she felt it, the sensation of being watched. Her skin prickled. Slowly, she turned, at first. She saw nothing but the twisted wreck of her ship. Then, between two broken pieces of metal, something moved. A tall figure stepped into view. Its skin shimmered in the sunlight, silver with a hint of blue. Its eyes were large, dark, and unreadable. It stood perfectly still, head tilted slightly, studying her. Emily froze, her breath caught in her throat. The alien wore no visible armor, no weapon in its hands. But there was something in its stance. Confident, powerful. It didn't rush toward her, didn't make any sound. It just watched. The wind whispered around them, carrying grains of sand between them like tiny sparks. Emily took a slow step back. Her heart pounded in her ears. She wanted to run. But something in her told her not to. This was not an animal. This was intelligent, and intelligent beings could be dangerous. For a moment, neither of them moved. The alien blinked slowly, almost curious. Then, it lifted one long hand and pointed not at her, but at the burning remains of the ship. Emily followed its gesture through the rising smoke. She saw the sky, far above. A strange light shimmered and then vanished. It wasn't the sun, and it wasn't a star. When she looked back, the alien was gone. Only the shifting sand showed where it had been. Emily's breath came fast. She was alone again, or maybe not. Somewhere out there, it was watching, and she had no idea whether it was her savior or her hunter. Emily's first night on the planet was long and restless. The air was dry and thin, and every breath felt like drinking dust. She sat near the wreckage, the faint fire from the ship giving her a small circle of light. Beyond that, darkness spread. Like an endless ocean, she could not stop thinking about the alien she had seen. Its strange, watchful eyes, the way it had pointed to the sky before disappearing. She kept telling herself it might have gone far away, but deep inside, she knew it was close. Sometimes, in the corner of her vision, she thought she saw movement in the shadows. When the wind rose, she heard sounds that were not just sand shifting. Something else was out there. At dawn, the strange orange light returned. Emily's water supply was small, maybe 2 days if she was careful. Her stomach tightened as she looked at the empty land. There was no choice. She had to search for more water. She took the survival pack and started walking, leaving the smoking wreck behind. The ground was cracked like broken glass. Each step crunched under her boots. The heat grew quickly. The sun, or whatever star this was, climbing higher in the sky. Her throat ached with thirst. After an hour, she saw movement ahead. A shadow slid across the rocks and stopped. She froze. The alien stood there again, silent and still. This time, was holding something in its hand, a small black container. It knelt and placed it on the ground, then stepped back. Emily stayed where she was, unsure if it was a trap. The alien tilted its head, a slow, deliberate gesture, almost like encouragement. Cautiously, she moved forward when she reached the container. She saw it was filled with water, not clear, but pale blue and faintly glowing. Her hand shook as she picked it up. The alien stayed still, watching her reaction. Emily raised the container to her lips and sipped. It tasted strange, cool, metallic, and a little sweet. She swallowed, feeling the coolness spread through her chest when she looked up. The alien had already turned and begun walking away without thinking. She called out, "Wait." The alien stopped but didn't face her. It pointed ahead, towards a cluster of jagged rock formations in the distance. Then it began walking again, slowly enough for her to follow. Emily hesitated. She knew she should be careful, but something told her this was not random. This was leading somewhere. She followed, keeping several steps behind. The alien didn't speak, but every so often, it glanced back to make sure she was still there. They reached the rocks after an hour. Up close, Emily saw narrow gaps between them, forming a kind of maze. The alien slipped inside without hesitation. Emily followed, the cool shade instantly relieving the heat. The walls of the rock were smooth and strangely patterned. She noticed faint glowing veins running through them, like the water she had just drunk. The passage opened into a hidden basin. At the center was a small pool of glowing blue water. Emily's eyes widened. She hurried forward, kneeling to refill her container. The alien stood on the other side of the pool, watching silently. For a moment, the air between them felt calm, almost peaceful. Then a sudden sound broke the stillness, a deep rumble from above. Emily looked up just in time to see a large creature crawl over the edge of the rocks. It had 6 thin legs and a head shaped like a spear. Its mouth opened, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Before she could move, it leaped down towards her, The alien moved faster than she thought possible, in one smooth motion. It pulled a long silver blade from its back and blocked the creatures. The two struggled, the alien twisting and stabbing with skill. Sand and dust flew in the air as they fought. Finally, the alien drove the blade deep into the creature's neck. It gave a high-pitched scream and collapsed, its legs curling inwards. Emily's heart pounded. She had been seconds away from death. The alien stood over the fallen creature, breathing heavily. It looked at her, its dark eyes sharp, and then pointed to the pool. Emily understood the water was important. And it was dangerous to get it. This was a gift and a warning without speaking. They began to walk back together. This time, Emily stayed closer. She realized that on this planet, survival might not be possible without this strange being. She still didn't know why it was helping her, but for now, they needed each other. When they reached the edge of the wreck, the alien paused. It pointed once more to the sky. Emily followed its gesture but saw nothing, only empty clouds when she looked back. The alien was already walking into the desert again. She stood there, clutching the water container. One thought circled in her mind. She was not alone here, and that could mean salvation, or something far more dangerous. The next morning, Emily woke to the sound of wind moving fast over the sand. The wreck of her ship creaked softly, metal shifting under the heat. She sat up slowly, her body still sore from the crash. Her eyes drifted to the glowing blue water. Container beside her, it was her only lifeline, and it came from the alien. She didn't know why it was helping her, but she was sure of one thing. This planet held secrets she could not yet see. Her stomach growled. The survival pack still had some food bars, but they wouldn't last long. She knew she needed more than water now. The thought of going out into the desert again made her tense. But then she saw it, far in the distance, a shimmer on the horizon. Not heat waves, not light from the sun, but something different, almost like a reflection. She grabbed her pack and began walking. Each step sent tiny clouds of dust swirling around her boots. The heat grew heavier with every minute. Pressing on her shoulders like a weight, hours passed before she reached the shimmer. And when she did, she stopped in surprise. It was a canyon, narrow, deep, and lined with tall, black stone walls. From inside came a faint blue glow, the same color as the water she drank. Emily's pulse quickened. She stepped into the canyon's shadow. The air cooler here, almost pleasant. The ground was smoother. And she noticed strange markings carved into the stone. They were not random scratches. They looked like a language. Looping shapes and sharp lines, she knelt to touch one of the carvings. The stone felt warm, almost alive. A soft clicking sound came from deeper in the canyon. Emily froze, her mind racing. Was it the alien? Or something else? Slowly, she turned a corner and saw him. The alien stood beside a tall pillar of stone, his silver-blue skin glowing faintly in the canyon light. He was touching the carvings with one long hand, tracing the lines slowly. Emily stepped closer, and his head turned slightly toward her. He didn't seem surprised to see her. Instead, he stepped aside and gestured for her to look at the pillar. Up close, Emily saw that the carvings told a kind of story. Figures with large eyes and tall bodies stood beside smaller human-like shapes. In the middle was a strange spiral symbol, repeated over and over at the bottom. There were images of what looked like the blue water pools. The alien pointed to the spiral, then to Emily, and then to himself. Her skin prickled. What was he trying to say? Before she could ask, a low rumble rolled through the canyon. Pebbles fell from the walls, and the alien's posture stiffened. He grabbed her arm and pulled her towards the deeper part of the canyon. Emily stumbled but followed. They reached a wide chamber, and she gasped. Before her was a massive underground lake. glowing brighter than any pool she had seen. The water pulsed with light, like it was breathing. The air here was thick with a strange, sweet scent. Emily felt lighter, stronger. As she breathed it in, she turned to the alien, who was watching her closely. It seemed like he was waiting for her reaction. She stepped closer to the edge, the glow reflected in her eyes. And for a moment, she felt dizzy. Images flashed in her. Mines, stars, ships, strange cities made of crystal. She stumbled back, her heart racing. The alien caught her before she could fall, his grip firm but not painful. Emily realized the water wasn't just water, it was alive, or at least it carried something inside it. Maybe it was the reason this alien survived here. Maybe it was the reason he brought her to this planet's hidden places. Her thoughts spun. Why show her this? Why trust her? The alien walked to the lake and dipped his hands into the glowing water. When he pulled them out, the light clung to his skin. He placed one glowing hand over his chest, then pointed to her. Emily hesitated, but stepped forward. He reached out, pressing his hand gently against her shoulder. A warmth spread through. Her body and the dizziness returned. More images came, this time of the aliens' people. Hundreds of them, their faces proud but tired. Then fire, destruction, and empty cities swallowed by dust. Emily gasped and stepped back. The alien didn't move, just watched her with those dark, endless eyes. She understood now his people were dying. This water was the key to their survival. And somehow, she was part of it. Before she could say anything, a sharp screech echoed through the canyon. It was the same sound as the creature from the day before, but louder, more dangerous. The alien stepped between her and the sound. Blade in hand, from the shadows of the chamber, shapes began to move. Dozens of thin, insect-like creatures crawled along the walls, their eyes glowing red in the blue light. Emily's breath caught. The alien looked at her once, as if telling her to run, but she didn't move. Something inside her told her this was just the beginning. Whatever secrets this planet had, they were not going to let her go so easily. The creatures crawled closer, their legs scraping against the canyon walls like knives. Their glowing red eyes reflected in the blue light of the underground lake. Emily's heart pounded as the alien stepped forward. Blade ready, he gave a low, rumbling sound, not a roar, but something like a warning. The creatures stopped for a moment, swaying in place as if they were listening. Then, without warning, the first one lunged. The alien moved fast, slicing it down before it could reach them. Emily backed up toward the edge of the glowing water, her feet slipping on the wet stone. Another creature leaped from the wall, its jaws snapping. The alien caught it mid-air and threw it hard against the rock. The sound of its shell cracking echoed through the chamber. But there were too many. One grabbed Emily's leg, pulling her toward the ground. She screamed, kicking wildly until the alien rushed in and stabbed it. The blue light from the lake pulsed faster now, as if reacting to the chaos. The air seemed heavier, almost electric. The alien gestured sharply toward a tunnel at the far side of the chamber. Emily didn't hesitate. She ran, hearing the clash of metal and screeches behind her. Her footsteps echoed as she entered the narrow tunnel. The walls glowed faintly. Guiding her deeper underground, she could hear the alien following, his breathing fast but steady. After what felt like forever, the tunnel opened into another cavern. This one was smaller, quieter, and warmer. In the center was a pool of the glowing water. But unlike the others, this one had strange crystal formations growing around it. They hummed softly, the sound almost like a heartbeat. Emily turned to the alien, who now stood in the entrance. His blade lowered, he had cuts across his arms, thin trails of silver blood running down. He pointed to the pool, then to her chest. Emily frowned. Shaking her head, she remembered the strange visions from before, the dizzy feeling, the images of his people. she didn't trust the water. The alien stepped closer, his eyes intense. He placed a hand on his own chest. Then pointed to her again, more firmly this time. Emily backed away. "No," she whispered. Though she knew he couldn't understand her words, but he didn't stop. He reached into a pouch at his side and pulled out a small crystal. Glowing faintly, he dropped it into the pool, and the water brightened, sending ripples of light across the cavern walls. The air filled with that same sweet scent she had noticed before. The alien knelt beside the pool and cupped his hands, drinking deeply. When he looked back at her, there was urgency in his eyes. He pointed to her again. But this time his movements were slower, almost pleading. Emily's mind raced. Why was this so important? Was it just to keep her alive, or was there something more? She remembered the carvings in the canyon, the spiral symbol, the images of humans and his kind together. Her breathing grew heavier. She was weak from hunger, and every breath felt harder than the last. The alien noticed and moved closer. He touched her arm, guiding her toward the pool. She resisted, but her body felt heavy, and the glowing light seemed to pull at her. Kneeling at the edge, she stared into the water. Her reflection wavered, shifting until it was not her face she saw, but something different, taller. With silver skin and dark eyes, she blinked, and the image vanished, replaced by her own. Her hands trembled. The alien's shadow loomed beside her, silent but unyielding. She dipped her hands into the water. It was warm, almost alive, wrapping around her fingers like silk. She lifted it to her lips and drank. The taste was richer than before. Like liquid light, it spread through her body, chasing away the ache in her muscles and the dryness in her throat. But with it came the visions again, stronger this time. She saw the alien's homeworld, green skies, cities made of glass and stone. She saw his people gathered around pools like this one, their hands raised in ritual. Then the images changed. She saw destruction, fire falling from the sky, the ground splitting open. She saw the alien, younger, carrying a small child away from a burning city, and then she saw herself standing beside him, holding something, not a weapon, not food, but a child. Her own heart stopped for a moment. Emily gasped, pulling away from the pool. Her hands shook as the alien looked at her with those unreadable eyes. She didn't know what she had just seen, a prophecy, a memory, or something else. But one thing was clear. Drinking the water had changed her. Her skin felt warmer, her vision sharper, her heartbeat steadier. The alien stepped back. Giving her space, he pointed toward the tunnel they had come from, then to the crystals. He seemed to be telling her that this place was important, maybe sacred. Emily realized he was trusting her with something that mattered deeply to him, and now she had to decide, would she trust him in return? She sat in the warm glow of the crystals, her mind torn between fear and something new she couldn't name. This planet was dangerous, yes, but it was also alive with mysteries, and she had just taken a step deeper into them. The choice she had made might save her, or change her forever. The days after drinking from the crystal pool felt strange. Emily woke each morning with more energy, her body lighter, her breathing easier. The thin, dry air of the planet no longer hurt her throat. She could walk longer without tiring, but it wasn't just strength. Her senses were sharper. She could hear the soft hiss of wind far away, smell the faint scent of minerals in the sand, and see details in the distant cliffs she had never noticed before. At first, she told herself, it was just survival instinct. Her body was adapting, but deep inside, she knew it was the water. It had changed something in her. The alien watched her closely during this time. He didn't speak, but his gaze followed her every movement, as if he was studying the results of an experiment. One night, she couldn't sleep. The desert sky above was filled with strange constellations, the stars larger and brighter than on Earth. She sat outside the wreck, staring at them. The alien appeared from the shadows, silent as always. He carried a small piece of the glowing crystal from the canyon. He knelt beside her and placed it. In her hands, Emily felt warmth spread through her fingers. The light from the crystal pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. She looked at him. Searching for meaning, he touched the crystal, then touched her stomach. Her breath caught. She pulled back slightly, unsure if she understood him correctly. The alien did not push her. Instead, he pointed to the sky, tracing one of the constellations. With his long finger, Emily followed the shape. It looked like a spiral, the same spiral she had seen carved into the canyon walls. Her mind spun with questions. She remembered the visions, the one of her holding something small, fragile, alive over the next few days. Her dreams grew stranger. She saw flashes of light, felt soft movements inside her. Sometimes she woke with her hands resting over her stomach without even realizing it. Her hunger changed too. She craved the glowing water and anything the alien brought her from the desert: strange fruits with thick skins, dried strips of alien meat, and bitter leaves that made her heart race. One afternoon, the alien led her to a part of the desert she hadn't seen before. The sand here was darker, the wind heavier. In the distance, jagged rock towers rose like broken teeth. They walked for hours until they reached a hidden valley. Emily stopped. In awe, the valley floor was green, not with grass, but with long, thin plants that swayed gently as if moved by an invisible current. Pools of glowing water dotted the ground, connected by narrow streams. It was the first real sign of life she had seen on this planet. The alien stepped into the valley and knelt by one of the pools. Emily followed, kneeling beside him. He placed both hands into the water and then pressed them to the ground. Immediately, the plants around them shifted, opening like flowers. Inside each was a small seed-like object that pulsed faintly with light. He picked one and placed it in Emily's hand. She stared at it. It felt warm, almost alive, without words. He made a gesture, placing the seed against his chest. Then pointing to her stomach again, Emily swallowed hard. The air around them felt heavier. The meaning was clear now. This was more than survival. The water, the crystals, the seeds. They were all part of something bigger, and she was part of it too. Her mind screamed to resist. This was too strange, too fast, but her body felt calm, almost welcoming. She had stopped feeling truly alone since drinking the water. Sometimes, when the alien was near, she felt a quiet connection, like their thoughts brushed against each other without words. Back at the wreck that night, she stood in the doorway, looking out at the desert. Her hand rested over her stomach again, this time without hesitation. The alien stood a short distance away, watching the horizon. A low rumble of thunder rolled through the air, rare on this dry world. The wind carried the scent of rain, mixed with something sweeter. Emily closed her eyes, breathing it in. She thought of Earth, of the forests and oceans she might never see again. And then she thought of the strange future ahead, a future tied to this alien, this planet, and whatever was growing inside her. It was terrifying, but a part of her wanted to see it through. In the distance, flashes of light lit the sky. They weren't lightning. They were too steady, too precise. Ships, she realized. Something or someone was approaching the planet. She looked at the alien. He met her gaze, and in that moment, she knew whatever was coming, it would change everything. And the transformation inside her was only the beginning. The lights in the night sky grew brighter with each passing day. At first, Emily thought they might be rescue ships from Earth. But the alien's reaction told her otherwise. Whenever the lights appeared, he would stop whatever he was doing, stand very still, and watch the sky until they faded. There was no relief in his expression, only tension. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the desert gold, the alien came to her carrying a small device. It was no bigger than her hand. With a smooth black surface that shimmered faintly, he placed it between them on the sand and tapped it twice. The device lit up, projecting a hologram into the air. Emily gasped. The image showed a world unlike any she had ever seen. A planet, covered in green skies, vast oceans of silver water, and towering crystal cities. Strange ships moved between them, their shapes elegant and curved like living creatures. Then the image shifted. The green skies turned dark, and fire rained down. From above, the cities shattered, and the oceans boiled into steam. She saw the aliens' people running, their faces filled with fear. Some carried children, others weapons. A massive fleet of dark ships appeared in the sky, their forms jagged and cold. The hologram zoomed in on one of these ships, revealing the same spiral symbol she had seen in the canyon carvings, but twisted. Broken, it was the mark of something that had destroyed his world. The alien touched his chest, then pointed at the ruined cities in the projection. Emily understood this was his home, and it was gone. The image changed again, showing a smaller group of his people traveling through space. Their ships were damaged, many drifting without power. One by one, they vanished from the hologram, until only a single ship remained. It was his. Then Emily saw the desert planet. His ship landed here, alone. She realized that just like her, he had crash-landed. The alien pressed a new image into the air, a glowing blue pool surrounded by his people. They held glowing crystals and seeds, placing them into the water. She saw the same plant she had found in the hidden valley. Finally, the hologram shifted. To show her, Emily froze. It was an exact image of her standing in the desert. The alien beside her, in her arms, she held a child with silver skin and human eyes. Her breath caught. This wasn't just his memory, it was his plan. She took a step back, shaking her head. No. She whispered under her breath, even though he couldn't understand her words. The alien didn't move toward her. He simply pointed at her stomach, then at the hologram. His eyes were calm, but unblinking. To him, this was not a choice. It was a necessity. Emily's thoughts swirled. If what he showed her was true, his people were nearly gone. Maybe she was the only one who could help continue their kind. But what about her own life, her own future? Could she really give herself to something this alien? The alien knelt in the sand, tracing the spiral symbol again. This time, he drew a second spiral beside it. The two lines connecting. He looked up at her, waiting. She didn't know if it meant unity, survival, or something deeper, but she did know that every step she had taken since the crash had been leading here. Before she could respond, a low hum filled the air. It wasn't from the wind or the planet. It was coming from above. She looked up and saw one of the lights in the sky growing larger. The alien stood quickly, pulling her behind and nearby. Rock the light descended until Emily could see its shape, a dark, jagged ship. It was the same design she had seen in the hologram. The destroyers of his world had found this planet. The ship hovered for a long moment before drifting toward the horizon. Emily's hands trembled. The alien looked at her, his eyes sharp and urgent. He pointed toward the canyon, then toward the glowing valley. He wanted to move. Now, she realized he was planning to protect the water, the crystals, and the seeds, the last pieces of his people's survival. They traveled quickly, the desert wind whipping at their faces. Emily's mind wouldn't stop racing. Was she about to be caught in another war? Was she willing to stand beside him when the danger came, and deeper still, was she willing to carry the life he wanted her to bring into this world? By the time they reached the canyon, the sun had fallen completely. The glowing veins in the stone pulsed brighter than usual. The alien touched the wall in a pattern, and a hidden door of stone slid open, revealing a chamber she had never seen before. Inside were more crystals, more seeds, and a large pool that glowed brighter than all the others combined. The air was thick and warm. Filled with the scent of life, the alien stepped into the pool. The light wrapping around him, he held out his hand to her. Emily stood at the edge, staring at him. The hum of the enemy ship still echoed in her ears. She knew that if she stepped into that pool, she'd be choosing his path, his fight, his future, and there might be no turning back. Emily stood at the edge of the glowing pool. The alien's hand was still extended toward her, his dark eyes locked on hers. The light from the water painted his silver-blue skin in shifting waves. The chamber was silent, except for the slow, steady hum of the crystals in the walls, outside, somewhere in the desert. The enemy ship surged. Time was slipping away. Her mind spun if she stepped into the water. She was saying yes to everything. Yes to carrying a life that wasn't entirely human. Yes to joining a cause she barely understood. Yes to giving up the chance of going back to her old life. And yet, turning away felt just as impossible. She looked down at her reflection. The light distorted her face until it almost wasn't her own. For a moment, she thought she saw a second reflection beside hers. A child's face with silver skin and eyes like hers. Her chest tightened. Was it a vision from the water or from her own mind? The alien didn't move closer. He seemed to understand this was her choice to make. He waited, still and silent. The air between them felt heavy with meaning. Emily's fingers curled into fists. Her thoughts tangled between fear and something deeper. She realized that since the crash, she had never truly been alone. Not with him here, and that strange sense of connection she felt. It had only grown stronger than the sound came. A low vibration at first, building into a sharp metallic hum. The enemy ship was closer now. The walls of the chamber trembled slightly. Dust fell from the ceiling. The alien's gaze flicked toward the entrance, then back to her. He knew they were running out of time. Emily's heart pounded. She imagined what would happen if the enemy found this place. The glowing pools destroyed. The crystals shattered. The seeds burned. Whatever was left of his people's hope would be gone forever. And if she left with the human ships, if they even came for her, she would be leaving him to face this alone. The alien lowered his hand. He turned to the pool and stepped deeper. Until the water reached his chest, the light clung to him, wrapping his body in a soft glow. He pressed both hands to the surface, sending ripples across it. It was an invitation, but also a warning. Once she entered, she could not undo what would happen next. Emily took a step forward. The warmth from the water reached her skin. She thought of the life she had known before, the comfort of Earth, the safety of home, but also the loneliness of space travel, the endless search for meaning in her work. Here, on this strange and dangerous world, she had found purpose, not the one she expected, but something that felt real. The hum of the enemy ship grew louder. Shadows flickered at the entrance to the chamber. Emily saw movement in the dark shapes shifting. Mechanical and sharp-edged, the alien tensed, ready to fight, but his eyes still stayed on her. It was as if her decision mattered more than the threat itself. She closed her eyes and took another step. The water wrapped around her legs, warm and alive. The crystal's hum grew louder, matching the beat of her heart when she opened her eyes again. The alien was closer, holding her hand. For the first time, his grip felt not just protective, but trusting. The moment she fully entered the pool, the visions came again. This time, they were stronger. Clearer, she saw the enemy ships above the desert. She saw herself standing beside the alien. A child between them. The child's eyes glowed. With the light of the pools, the image shifted, the same child standing years later, leading both humans and the aliens' people. The spiral symbol appeared again, this time whole and unbroken. The visions faded as the sound of footsteps echoed into the chamber. Emily turned, water dripping from her skin. The enemy had arrived, their shapes framed in the doorway. The alien? stepped in front of her, his blade flashing in the crystal light. Emily felt something stir inside her, a strength that wasn't there before. She stepped up beside him, the water still glowing around her. The leader of the enemy force paused. Its dark visor reflected the pool's light. For a moment, no one moved. The tension cracked like lightning in the air. Then the alien tightened his grip on his blade. Emily's hand slid to the survival knife at her belt. She didn't know if they could win, but she knew she wasn't leaving. Some choices define who you are. Some choices change the world. This one, she realized, might do both. The enemy took one step forward. The alien shifted his stance, and Emily's voice, steady and certain, broke the silence. Then we fight. The crystal light swelled, the pool pulsed, and the chamber exploded into motion.